Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. Happy Thursday. Hope you're enjoying the day. Let me share a little something with you because today it's actually my 20th wedding anniversary. I know, crazy, right? I've been married for so long. It's crazy, but I want to say a quick thank you for obviously my amazing husband. And yeah, we're going to celebrate. It should be a lot of fun today. And let me ask you, how is your day going so far? My heart and thoughts are certainly with our friends and family in Texas. Hopefully the storm will be behind you sooner rather than later and things will get to be a lot much better. But I want to also welcome my friends at Modern Mom as we are also now streaming to you. So welcome to the show. You can stay on top of relevant, important business and financial news right here every day the markets are open. Let's start with the financial markets and let you know how the market fared. Unfortunately, I wish I had better news, my friends. I really do, especially considering today's my anniversary. I was hoping to have really good news for you. But unfortunately, the Dow closed down 119 points. The NASDAQ was also down 100 points. We never like it when the NASDAQ is down. The S&P also down 17 across the board. And you might be wondering why. But unfortunately, U.S. stocks today did slide downwards as investors are very, very much concerned because the worse than expected jobless claim readings that were announced today show that first-time filings for unemployed insurance unfortunately went up to 861,000 Americans filed for unemployment last week, which is the highest level in a month. And it was much more so above the estimate that the Dow Jones had considered, which of 773,000, the Labor Department did report today. So unfortunately, more Americans continue to be unemployed. But let's do something fun. And this is always important to my friends at Modern Mom. Let's do a little Modern Mom Minute for you. Now, this isn't just for my friends at Modern Mom, for all of you. This is actually really big news, especially for those who are parents, because the CDC actually released their information about actually opening schools back up. CDC's classroom guidance could keep 90% of schools at least partially closed. That's what was reported today on CNBC. In fact, the CDC last week released its guidance on how and to what extent communities should reopen their schools for in-person learning. A lot of parents like myself, this is sort of the big news. We're all sort of listening and watching to figure out when it is safe for our kids to go back to school. Certainly a lot of kids are already back in school in different parts of the country, but here in Southern California, and I think much of California, kids are still actually distance learning for the most part at home. We obviously have some in-person guidance and learning as well, but it's certainly in a much smaller percentage. Now, if the CDC guidance is strictly followed, doctors are actually saying that this is according to a report in CNBC, the schools might not fully reopen for in-person learning for months, even if they could do so sooner. Many public health specialists were actually happy to see the CDC share its clearest and most comprehensive federal guidance yet on whether and to what extent schools could reopen. So if you're a parent out there, or let's say you're an uncle or you're a cousin, this is something you want to pay attention to, right? Because a lot of people are saying, well, if schools open, can they do so safely? If not, will outbreaks occur for those who are not in school or have relatives or just in a community? So the document is a 35-page report defining what they consider essential elements of reopening schools. It talks about the need for social distancing, universal masking, and some testing as well. It also shares a set of parameters to gauge how widely the coronavirus is spreading within a community, and also on whether or not our schools should fully reopen for in-person learning or maintain maybe a partial or fully remote learning schedule until a pandemic outbreak actually subsides. So a lot of guidance, a lot of good information. However, some doctors are saying, you know what? Some doctors are saying, no, these guidelines are way too much. They say that these guidelines would keep more than 90% of schools, including in most of all the 50 largest counties here in the United States, from fully reopening. And they're saying that if the CDC guidelines are strictly followed, these doctors said schools might not fully reopen in-person learning for months, even if these doctors think that they could reopen safely much sooner. So as a parent, I would love to hear your opinion, or it doesn't even have to be a parent. If you're not a parent, and many of you may not be, but you're an active person in your community. What's your opinion on this? We would love to know. So do me a favor, share in comments, let me know your thoughts. Do you think schools should fully reopen? Do you think there should be a hybrid approach? Do you think they need to be mindful? Because, for those of you who aren't parents, if you remember, these classrooms in most of these public schools are not that large. And in most cases, here in Southern California at least, some classrooms are pushing 30 students. They're literally, in many cases, almost bunched in like sardines. There's a lot of kids. What does that look like? So let's be kind and let's welcome all opinions on this. I would very much be interested in hearing what you have to say. And Vicky Garney, who's joining us, she says, yes, they're reopening schools in March there in UK. Yes, I would say that my kids' school here has three options. It's hybrid, there's all virtual, and there's also in person. So there are kids that have always continued to be in school this whole time. LA County, I know some of my friends are saying that they might be opening back up in March and what that looks like. Very interested to hear your feedback on that as well. I will say I have some good friends, very good friends in Georgia and Kentucky, as well as Austin, Texas. Their kids have been at school. Actually, a friend also in Las Vegas, kids are already back in school and they've already been experiencing outbreaks. And so there's when they had some of the kids have already had to be tested 2 or 3 times already for potential pandemic results as well. So I don't know. It's a really hard decision, but I thought we would definitely want to share that because that is part of the news. And of course, this type of information will impact the financial markets, right? Investors don't like uncertainty. Now, on other news, and something I really want to talk about is the topic of mortgage forbearance. Now, this is probably going to be welcome news for actually millions of Americans who continue to be unemployed. In fact, the White House announced some welcome news for those struggling to make their mortgage payment. You can now take an additional break from your loan as part of COVID-19 relief. There's been extension of the foreclosure memorandum. Okay, so this is actually going to help a lot of families. The initial payments pause was limited to 6 months, but homeowners actually could request an additional 6-month extension. Now the government wants to keep families in their home during the pandemic. So forbearance doesn't wipe out your monthly payments. It just allows you to postpone them without getting hit by late fees. So because the credit bureau is reporting of overdue payments is suspended, you also won't get a hit on your credit score for taking a break on your mortgage loan. So this is really good news. The relief has been limited to homeowners with federally backed mortgages. So that's important. But this is a majority of U.S. home loans, such as Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and others, FHA, VA, USDA loans as well. But do you know now, this extension has been extended until June 30th of this year. So technically, if you're dealing with financial hardship, you definitely want to reach out to your loan processing agency, maybe the bank, mortgage firm, and just let them know that you would like to take this mortgage forbearance. Now, like how many people there's an estimated 2.7 million homeowners are holding about 5.35% of the nation's mortgage loans are currently in forbearance now. And if you're in this group, there are options to making up your mixed payments. So let's say you aren't in this program yet, but you're thinking maybe this would be good for you. If you do, then what they do is in most cases, they'll let you tack on to the end of your mortgage term, maybe an additional amount of time for the missed payments, right? Up to 12 months right now. Or you could agree to making a lump sum repayment when your home is sold or refinance, or when the mortgage term comes to an end. This was actually the most popular option. Most people elected to having this tacked at the end of the mortgage term. So that way you just pay longer, right? Now, let's also talk about some alternatives to forbearance. Though the government has been very willing to stretch out mortgage freeze, the forbearance also gives you an opportunity to make some really important decisions. Because if you still have income coming in, you actually might consider refinancing your mortgage. In fact, those of you who have a mortgage right now, and if your interest is over 2.5%, you should actually look into refinancing your mortgage because there are some really great options out there. I would recommend talking to your current loan processor as well as getting a second opinion or another competing offer, maybe from a mortgage broker. The other thing that you might want to look into is what they call loan modification. Okay. This is really great. I actually just did this for my own home a couple weeks ago. What it is I call my bank and they offer me a loan modification that basically allows me to lower my interest on my mortgage without doing the entire refinance. Now, this makes a lot of sense for those of you who maybe wouldn't qualify for a refinance or just don't want to go through the process of all the paperwork of a refinance, which is in my category. That was me. I just didn't want to go through the entire process because it's quite lengthy. Now, I will say here's the negative to that. And this is something you should analyze. When you do that, when you do a modification, usually it will come with an administrative or filing fee. For me, the fee made sense to do it, right? Because it dropped my rate enough that I could justify paying that filing fee. So look into that. Look into that option. It's super, super easy. For me, it just made sense. I didn't want someone coming into the house, doing the appraisal and doing all the paperwork, especially now that we're so deep in tax season. And with COVID, it just seemed like the easier path to take. And plus, I plan to pay my mortgage off early. So should be fine. But do know that this is an option. Okay, so loans sold to government-sponsored mortgage giants Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Actually, this is something that you can qualify for. So definitely look into that. All right, so we had something else I was sharing this week. I want to make sure to put on your radar. There's actually a new child tax credit expansion being proposed as part of this new coronavirus relief package that could provide monthly income. So here's the thing. This is what we know so far. The Democrats are actually proposing to give qualifying families up to $300 per month per child. In fact, this child tax credit expansion is aimed at reducing child poverty, and President Joe Biden's plan is to ideally cut in half child poverty and especially for minority families. This is what he's talking about. In fact, the child tax credit helps parents under certain income thresholds. So currently how it sits is you get $2,000 per child for those who earn up to $400,000 a year if you're married, and $200,000 if you're single. Because it's a tax credit, it lets parents reduce their federal tax liability. This is really awesome. But do know that this doesn't mean it lowers your adjusted gross income. So I want to make sure I clarified on that. But the new one, this is really interesting. The new bill would make it so families can opt to receive payments monthly instead of having to wait for one lump sum at the end of the year. I'm not sure how many families would actually prefer the lump sum at this point. I think they're going to definitely select the monthly, and let me know how you feel about this. But families could receive up to $300 per month per child under the age of 6 and $250 per month for child ages 6 through 17. But there's even better news because it seems like right now both parties have some support, both on the Democrat side as well as the Republican side, because Senator Mitt Romney is also introducing a similar plan that provides $4,200 each year for kids up to the age 6 and $3,000 each year for kids 6 to 17. So if Mitt Romney gets his way, parents will get even more money. So in either case, it'll be based on income. So single parents in either case will need to have an adjusted gross income up to $75,000, heads of household up to $112,500, and married couples up to $150,000 would qualify. So lots to keep in mind, lots to think about, and most important, lots to be paying attention to as we get more information coming out each day about the next round of stimulus support for you, for those who are watching. And also keep on top of this financial news, because this may not impact your money today, because as we know, the two most important days when it comes to your money is the day that you invest and the day that you sell. However, having this sort of knowledge, knowing what's happening with the financial markets, knowing what's happening with the rest of the country will help you make those solid, smart financial decisions and hopefully give you a foundation of, I should work with a financial advisor. I should contact somebody. And on that note, if you want to, I do want to put this out there. Our team is actually having complimentary consultations right now. If you have a 401k, a pension, maybe you're doing financial planning, maybe you're saving for your child's education and you want a second opinion, definitely reach out to our team. We're doing these consults all day long. They are complimentary, and I think it'll be great for you to get a second opinion. And the great thing is, like most of our clients are not geographically close to us, because nowadays with phone, with Zoom, you can be anywhere and get really, really good, solid financial advice. So you have here our live stream, which streams on 6 different platforms, and now plus Modern Mom. I love Modern Mom. Every day that the financial markets are open. Thank you so much for watching, supporting our program, and sharing the show with those that you love and care about. As a reminder, you can find full episodes on Level Up on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Be well, and I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Take care now.